You want me to put that on my Tudor?
This One's Wife. What Meghan does next. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. There has been something of a This One's Wife PR blitz as of late. She turned up in Paris for a fashion show, laughing at a model falling over, channeling her inner Derek Zoolander, awkwardly trying to kiss the designer for Balenciaga and being ignored by Kristen Scott Thomas. She bowled up in New York City with the Prince of Pink Pancakes, who didn't look very happy on the red carpet, as she appeared twice to look like admiring wife, and then bore the pants off everybody as she spouted word salad in relation to her attempts to convince the world that she truly does care about protecting children online, despite hanging out with notorious child cyberbully Chrissy Teigen. She appeared at the Women of Power Summit and spoke word salad for approximately 13 minutes in Washington. We saw that she was at the Take a Shit on the Table dinner with a load of vacuous women, and then turned up at Kelly Zaffan's memorial event for her deceased son. There's been quite the blitz on the part of This One's Wife as she attempts to convince us that she's a really lovely person, and this has all been interspersed with the frequent use of Instagram, which I predicted some time ago. But what's going to happen next? Well, Alison Beauchoff of the Mail has taken a stab at telling us what is going to occur next. So let's take a look at this to determine if there's any validity in it. She writes, "It was obvious from her appearance in Paris during this month's Fashion Week that This One's Wife was planning to place a dainty, there's nothing dainty about her feet, size 6, and the rest, foot in the fashion world. For while the Duchess of Sussex may have accumulated many baubles, one long-held dream still eludes her, being awarded the cover of a high-end fashion magazine. Her Paris jaunt led to much speculation. She was soon to announce she had made the cover of Vogue. Indeed, This One's Wife, a bold networker, let's call it for what she is, parasite, shared hugs and air kisses with all-powerful global Vogue boss Anna Wintour and with American Vogue's new editor Chloe Mao at the Balenciaga show in Paris. Well, just because she was seen with them doesn't mean that she's going to get the Vogue cover. That ain't going to happen. But while Alison Beauchoff states that she's been told the Duchess is intent on building up her relationship with the venerable Condé Nast magazine, and does have a fashion magazine cover in the pipeline, it's not with Vogue. Rather, Beauchoff's sources exclusively tell her This One's Wife has made a deal to appear on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, published by media giant Hearst. Well, what a surprise. Harper's Bazaar. It's one of the supine publications that regularly rims This One's Wife. This cover will be a first for This One's Wife, who made the cover of Vanity Fair while dating Prince Harry, as she is yet to land the attentions of a high fashion magazine. While she guest-edited the September 2019 edition of Vogue, she didn't put her own face on the cover. Probably told that she wasn't allowed. Her meetings with Vogue Supremos Wintour and Mal are, I can reveal, better viewed as This One's Wife trying to reset relations. Because, as we shall see, there was a falling out between her and the then UK Vogue editor Edward Enninful 3 years ago. No shit. This One's Wife fall out with someone? Who'd have ever thought it? After the Duchess made high-handed demands of him? No. A narcissist making high-handed demands? Who'd have thought it? And it did her few favours with Anna Wintour. While there was much talk of This One's Wife being pictured with Wintour, few remarked on her appearance at the Balenciaga show with Samir Nazar, the editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar. But it is Harper's which has secured the This One's Wife scoop, and I use scoop in its most elastic sense, perhaps more applicable to ice cream than anything major. You can almost read the satisfaction on Samira Nazar's face in the image of them together. So is This One's Wife on manoeuvres, and is this magazine cover step 1 of a comprehensive relaunch? Meghan 3.0, if you will. 3.0? I think we're more at 27.0. Well-placed insiders tell Boshoff the sudden burst of activity, which included an appearance at the Fortune Most Powerful Women event in Washington this week, doesn't quite indicate anything so thought through. No, well, it won't be thought through with this one's wife, because she is haphazard. She is no mastermind, as I've repeatedly explained to you. She is no Machiavellian Svengali. She operates moment to moment. This is why she fucks up so often. There's never been any orchestrated, cleverly thought out plan with her. She's just wanted to be famous and wealthy. That's it. Her narcissist has demanded that of her and had very little to work with. Basically, someone not particularly intelligent, of moderate looks, pretty good at sucking a golf ball through 40 feet of hosepipe, but then it hit the mother lode. It realised she had an innate capacity for ensnaring dim-witted ginger princes and thought, let's do that. Apparently, her PR team are just putting her out there in a hopeful way without a plan. In other words, throw it at the wall and see what sticks. That sounds like this one's wife's approach to things. They aren't being discerning and protecting her from herself. It seems they think every media opportunity is a good one. And that's insane. In other words, an envelope opens and this one's wife is there. The source adds, there is no strategy here. It is thoughtless and directionless. One day she is in Paris at the Fashion Show, positioning herself in that world, and then she shows up in Washington with Fortune magazine and wants to be regarded as a female founder. And this is entirely correct, because not only is this a haphazard way that this one's wife operates, driven by her narcissism, but it is the compartmentalization of her narcissism, that she believes that one day she is fashion icon, the next day female founder, the next day protector of children online, and she doesn't see how in some instances one can contradict the other, or doesn't sit with the other, or how she's overexposed and spreading herself too thin. The article continues with, but she's got nothing to launch, nothing to announce, and nothing to say. It's a mess. The Sussexes seem to be spiralling. They are throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. I don't understand why she would do a magazine cover when she has nothing coming out. It is evident that either she isn't being advised properly, or else she is not listening. Honestly, whoever is in charge shouldn't even be putting this stuff in front of her to protect her from herself. Now, pausing there. Why would she do a magazine cover when she has nothing coming out? Well, when you understand that she's a narcissist, you will know that it's not about being linked to anything coming out. It's linked to, that's right, the pursuit of the prime aims. For anybody else, the consideration would be, I have something to promote, therefore I want to be on the magazine cover. In her world, I'm really important, and me being on the magazine cover is what matters, because, subconsciously, it enables her to assert control and draw fuel. Thus, it doesn't matter that there's nothing associated with it, because in her world, governed by her narcissism, that's all that's required. And if someone were to say to her, why are you doing a magazine cover? There's nothing coming out. There's nothing to be promoted. She'll give them a withering stare because, of course, their fair and realistic observation amounts to a threat to control. The fact is, as touched upon by the individual in this article, it's either the case that this one's wife doesn't listen, which of course is part of her haughty behaviour and the fact that she thinks she knows best, or it could well be that people have got so sick and tired of trying to advise her and noticing that she doesn't listen and she bites their head off, that they simply think, fine, just let her get on with it. There's no point attempting to put your head above the parapet only to get shot down by her. Boshoff continues by explaining that assessment may strike some as harsh, but the development of a coherent brand identity for this one's wife, vital for success in this competitive, influencer-driven market, is shaky to say the least. There is some confusion about whether this one's wife is selling herself as a cosy jam-making domestic goddess, a ball-breaking corporate genius, or a sleek fashionista. Well, the short answer is this: she's all three. Because on Monday, she's cosy jam-making domestic goddess. Tuesday, ball-breaking corporate genius. Wednesday, sleek fashionista. She's actually none of those things. She simply plays at those things because her narcissism causes her to play at those things in order to get to the prime aims. It doesn't matter, for the sake of her narcissism, whether she is those things or not, and it doesn't matter that she's any of those things on different days. All that matters is that she generates a portrayal of one of those instances at a particular point in time to get to the prime aims. Dangerously, without a product to sell and a branding direction to pursue, any publicity she engages in looks rather like publicity for publicity's sake, or in other words, it's publicity for the pursuit of the prime aims. The obvious dissonance between this one's wife seeking this kind of attention and her husband Prince Harry's desire for privacy need hardly be laboured. The reverberations are still being felt from an ill-advised visit to Paris. As the Daily Mail revealed last week, this one's wife previously turned down invitations to Paris because of H's mum, Princess Diana, who died in a car crash in the city. She then surprised people by attending Paris Fashion Week and posting an Instagram story showing her resting her feet on the seat of a limo being driven alongside the Seine at night, a route which mirrored Diana's final journey. This was taken by some who saw it as the height of insensitivity. Further PR gaffes were made during her candid conversation in Washington. She made a string of statements which must have had her publicity team, Meredith Maines and Emily Robinson, choking on their tea in horror back in California. For the Duchess made it sound very much as if her Netflix show with Love Meghan was not returning, with the reason given, somewhat astonishingly, that it was all too much like hard work. It then explains what she'd said, which we've heard, and therefore we don't need to go through that once again. Decoding what she said is difficult for those unused to the Duchess's particular style of Californian business speak, or in other words, the narcissist word salad, but she appears to be indicating that she's looking to make content which isn't as labour-intensive as television. What is less labour-intensive is social media videos, the different size content this one's wife appears to be referencing. But a future in which the Duchess feels it's too much effort to make any more Netflix series and just post TikTok or Instagram or Facebook videos of recipes in order to grow her lifestyle business sounds very much like a future in which she will not be earning money from Netflix. It feels quite unlikely that revenues from TikTok will outpace the money which Netflix has been paying her, although she may manage, like wannabe chef Brooklyn Beckham, to get Facebook owners Meta to step up the money for a micro-series made specifically for social media. There are broader implications for this one's wife's businesses too, if she does go down the social media micro-series route. Such a move will involve some awkward squaring the circle with Netflix, as they are the backers of her as-ever business. They've invested in it, take a large slice of whatever profits, and have seconded staff to help her run it. Sources at the streamer have conceded for some time that they think it's unlikely she will bring the show back. No further filming is planned, and no permits have been filed by her production company with authorities in Santa Barbara. In short, it seems this one's wife has lost enthusiasm for her lifestyle cooking jam-making wheeze. Part of this dip in enthusiasm could surely be traced back to the sting that her and Harry's hugely lucrative Netflix deal was renewed as a mere first look, rather than an overall deal in September. You could read this in her face-saving reference to being in the same boat as the Obamas, who were similarly downgraded by Netflix with their higher ground projects, because they were also deemed not to be worth the money. This one's wife explained, "My husband and I were in an overall deal with Netflix, and then not just similar to higher ground in the Obamas deal. Once that had come to its term, the extension of it, which was such an incredible sign of the strength of our partnership, was now being in a first-look deal." Again, it's not easy to understand, but it seems she's trying to make it clear that Archewell is actively developing a host of new projects, which may or may not go to Netflix. Crucially, Boshoff states that she understands that Netflix is continuing to pay the overheads for Archewell Productions, said to stand at an estimated $3 million a year. Pausing there, whilst that's a clear residual benefit for this one's wife, I find it somewhat inconceivable that Netflix would do that. So to carry on in the TV production business, even unsuccessfully, is not costing the Sussexes anything. Despite this one's wife's attentions moving to different spheres, Netflix still has plans for her lifestyle brand as ever. The next step is to go from the current direct-to-consumer model to putting her wine, jams, teas and biscuit mixes into selected retailers. Then the idea is to expand into homeware, such as table linen and bowls for elevated entertaining, again online, and then in retailers. Again, I simply don't see that would happen, because it would require hard work on the part of this one's wife, and she simply isn't geared up to do that. One obvious problem in this activity is that it needs to be linked to a hit TV show, and this one's wife doesn't have one, nor does she seem to have the idea for one either. Several sources attest the Netflix deal, while comprehensive in terms of potential homeware ranges, has no plans for a clothing range. Presumably Netflix can see the potential pitfalls. Others in the lifestyle space, such as Gwyneth Paltrow, have attempted fashion without success. I think it's also the case that Goop has been going for some 14 years or so and has yet to turn a profit. Why is this one's wife so keen to re-enter the world of fashion? It's true she had a clothing range at the retailer Reitman back in the Suits day, that she recently closed down her online Shop My Page, which earned her commission for product recommendations, is seen as an indication she may announce a micro line of clothing in collaboration with a retailer such as Zara or Uniqlo. Indeed, the latter is now the home of her close friend Claire Waite-Keller, who made a wedding dress while at Givenchy. The pair have stayed in touch, and Waite-Keller, now Uniqlo's creative director, has a diffusion line at the brand. Such a move to high street fashion would be a huge pivot, but you can hear this one's wife preparing the ground. This is what Beauchoff thinks is the route that this one's wife is going to go down. I doubt that Uniqlo would risk having any involvement with her, given her stinking reputation. The way this one's wife now presents it, her foodie business came about almost by accident because of COVID. She explained, "I think 5 years ago was a very different situation for all of us. Archie was so little, and I just got pregnant with Lily around that same time. So we were nesting and healing." What a load of shite. And also, I don't know if I had the bandwidth at that time to think about what the big picture dream was. There was no plan. She continued, "Then I said, okay, I've always loved being able to share. I've always loved being able to cook and entertain. Is there a business here? And I think it was probably most people's assumption that if I was going to go into business, it would be fashion and beauty." It was this statement which surprised many, as this one's wife has never been associated with high fashion. And if she now is to make the leap, it's essential she has the blessing of Anna Wintour, which she won't get, with whom there was a cooling in relations when a collaboration planned for 2022 fell through. This then goes on about the fallout in relation to British Vogue, and this one's wife pulled the plug, and the relationship is now said to be icy. According to Alison Beauchoff, it would appear that this one's wife is going to try and get a magazine cover, which ultimately won't lead to anything, that she's going to shy away from a further TV series, probably burned as a consequence of the failure of Netflix to renew her deal, and instead might be looking at simply pumping out videos, which is not, given her lack of popularity, lack of talent, lack of charisma, going to provide her with anywhere near the level of revenue that she needs. And she is not somebody that's associated with fashion. So Alison Beauchoff has made a reasonable stab at what she thinks this one's wife will do next, but to my mind, none of these things have credibility in terms of her actually getting them off the ground, much less meeting with any success. What are your thoughts, valuable viewers, about what you think this one's wife will do next? Do you think simply she is just going to continue to seek out lesser and lesser prestigious opportunities, continue to utilise Instagram in the way that I said that she would do so, and until the money dries out, continue to try and buy opportunities to prop up her failing profile? Or do you think she will scramble all the harder to get out that olive branch to try and effect reconciliation with the royal family, to find a way back in there? All of this being done pending trying to find a new husband. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.